Thanks for tuning in to more NFL talk on the Our Lads Football Network as we are set to end Week 7 in the NFL as we record on Monday night. The game, of course, going on right now between Seattle and New Orleans. It's a big game we'll talk about next week. But the rest of the NFL is already through Week 7. Week 8 will begin on Thursday. A really good Week 8 game, by the way. The best Week 8, well, actually the best Thursday night football game of the season. And it happens to land on Week 8, the Green Bay Packers at the Arizona Cardinals. But we're going to talk all about what happened in Week 7 with Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post, who covered and I'm assuming was there live in person to see the Giants beat the Carolina Panthers.
I was there live in person. Yeah, stunned, wearing this face. Yeah, I was there. The Panthers' offensive line is
bad, isn't it?
Oh, my God. I didn't realize how bad it was. I didn't know you could have a offensive line in more shambles than the Giants' offensive line. They couldn't do anything. I actually felt bad for Sam Darnold in that game. Like, I know he's had his chances. It's his 4th year, but he went to a team, and look, when they have Christian McCaffrey, that's one thing, but he went to a team, he has worse blocking than he had with the Jets.
True. And now McCaffrey is in his backfield for the last 4 games, and look what happens to him. So yeah, and now the rumors come out. And look, this shouldn't be a surprise that there's Carolina Panther rumors now with Deshaun Watson, because that was actually, if none of this stuff happened with Deshaun Watson off the field, I really believe that Carolina would have been the trade partner. I really do. I think that would have been the place. The owner desperately wants a big-time quarterback there. He desperately wants somebody to take over that franchise. And he figured, okay, let's settle for Sam Darnold for now. But if somehow he's willing to make this trade before the deadline, okay, great. But I still think at this point, if anybody's going to make the deal, it's going to be Carolina. But I agree with you. I still think it's going to be kind of hard for him to get traded.
Yeah, I mean, to me, look, I don't know why the Texans would budge now. They didn't budge before, so I don't know why they'd budge on their asking price now. Like, their season's lost. It doesn't help them to trade him now. At this point, you might as well wait to see if the lawsuit's resolved over the offseason and get your max value then. I can't honestly don't really understand, unless the Panthers or the Dolphins are so fed up with the way their seasons are going that they're going to meet the whatever it was, 3-1's asking price, then you trade them. But that, to me, shouldn't have anything to do with the trade deadline. If they offered you the 3-1 September 1st, you should have done it then, just like you would do it November 1st.
Yeah, unless, of course, the trade demand comes down a little bit, but we'll find out. Who knows?
Well, then why would the then why would the Texans do it? Just hold them till their lawsuit's resolved.
Yeah, it's, you never know. You can never understand the thought process of certain owners or general managers, because, again, you know what the old saying is, it only takes one. So we'll find out, but we'll know at least next week. Next Tuesday is the deadline, and I think there'll be some activity. I think we've already seen a few deals over the past month or two of this regular season.
The younger the NFL executive has gotten, and that's what's happened over the last 10 years or so, the more the NFL trade deadline has picked up, because teams are now, they see what's going on with the MLB trade deadline. They've gotten rid of this idea that the NFL is so complex that a midseason guy can't possibly pick up the offense in the middle of the season. The younger executive has weeded that out, and we've seen a lot of trade deadline deals. The Giants have made 4 in the last 3 years. We've seen some ones that have really, Golden Tate went to Philly one year and scored a playoff touchdown. We've seen some ones that have really helped teams here down the stretch. And if we're going to start this podcast, we started with the Giants and the Panthers. I mean, I was in Matt Rule's press conference, and he was sitting up, Sam's our quarterback. And then literally took a deep breath, basically, and 5 words later was like, but we need to become a tougher football team, and if we don't, then major changes are on the way. and it was like, okay, well, major changes, you're not changing your left guard. Yeah. So,
and look, you're not going to put PJ Walker in a quarterback for the rest. That's just not going to happen.
No, of course not.
So
So,
look, if it's not Deshaun Watson, I don't know. Is there another quarterback out there that could be traded?
Nick Foles or Andy Dalton,
Nick
one of
Foles,
those
okay,
guys,
Andy
or Andy
Dalton.
Dalton. You could trade Andy Dalton, and Foles could be your backup. Uh, Joe Flacco obviously got traded today. That was
I
stunning.
didn't even hear about that.
Oh, he's on your Jets.
Okay.
Why don't we go to that? So we did Giants.
And what they
Panthers.
give up for him? Something to be determined.
Oh no, I know what it is. No. So are we done with Giants Panthers? Let's move on to Patriots Jets, and I'll get you, and I'll
What
wow
could
you.
they have possibly traded for Joe Flacco?
You ready for this? After that debacle of a game, that Patriots Jets game,
Yes.
where they not only lose the game, they lose their starting quarterback. They gave up, despite media calls. I'm really building this up. Despite media calls all summer long from me and from people who know the team far better than me to add a veteran quarterback. Add one. What are you doing? Add one. What if Zach Wilson gets hurt? Doesn't he need somebody to learn from? Nope, we're good. We're sticking with Mike White. Today, we're sticking with Mike White. We're promising with Mike White. And they traded for Joe Flacco, a 6th-round draft pick that could become a 5th-round draft pick depending on his conditional playing time. So now you're giving up a draft pick when you could have just signed Joe Blow in August and been prepared for this situation. You're giving up a draft pick now because there's fewer quarterbacks available. Very strange.
Yeah,
it's mismanaged. That was a mismanaged situation. That having covered the Giants and Dave Gettleman, who admits his mistakes after he makes them, you'd prefer he doesn't make mistakes. But that to me reeked of, I'm smarter than you. We're gonna do it my way. Then the inevitable happens, and you have to admit you mismanaged it. That's what happened.
Well, what was Joe Flacco? What was his contract for? What did they?
1 year, but I don't.
No,
remember
but was it? It wasn't like overflated, was it? It wasn't like anything where the Jets were like, "Well, we're not going to pay for that," and then still they got to take his contract in, even though it's what -7 games, but it's still a 6th-round draft pick. Which I think is ridiculous.
1 year, $3.5 million.
Yeah, that's
nothing.
So that's nothing.
They're essentially paying him like whatever 1.8.
Yeah, that's still nothing, especially for a 6th-round draft pick. Yeah, I don't know what that is, and to tell you the truth, I don't even know what in the world. They're getting to the point where whatever they say now, whatever you hear them say and talk about in these press conferences, it's like whatever. I mean, you're just blowing smoke. I mean, they didn't even tell anybody that C.J. Mosley was hurt until 10 days after. Oh, by the way, I'm going to start the press conference. C.J. Mosley's day to day. I could imagine the faces of everybody in the press. Wait, what? C.J. Mosley's got what? What happened to C.J. Mosley?
And they missed him. I mean, that defense. We can talk all we want about the offense and LaFleur's offense not looking like it was NFL ready and the slow start. But the defense, that was really, to me, was jaw-dropping. I've seen the offense struggle enough now where I knew they were going to struggle again.
Sure.
But the defense, Mosley's out, and literally 500 yards of offense. What is this, the Big 12?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it just shows you, like you said, I mean, you take him, because they're so young back there, that you take that one guy out of that back 7. But you know what? I'm actually more disappointed in is the front line guys. Where's Quinnen Williams? Oh, John Franco Myers. As soon as he signs a big contract, last 2 games, is he playing? I haven't heard his name. Did he make a tackle? So that's what I'm concerned with, because those are guys you're leaning on for the next few years, especially Quinnen Williams. I get a little sick and tired of waiting for Quinnen Williams to become, the superstar defensive tackle that he was supposed to be when he was picked in the top 5.
Quinnen Williams has a little Leonard Williams in him, where he's a really good player who doesn't make good game-changing plays.
And that's not why you pick a guy in the top 5. So
correct.
Look, it's a different regime and all, but still, it's a tough one, and that has to improve. I thought it was funny in the beginning of the season. We talked about this when Mike Greenberg, that phony Jet fan, thought the season was over when when what's his name was lost for the season, defensive end
Carl
Carl
Lawson.
Lawson, and of course I was like, come on, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Zach Wilson is this entire season. It's about his growth, his development. As long as he doesn't get hurt, then I don't care what happens. It's all about Zach Wilson. Luckily, it's only going to be, as what they say, 2 to 4 weeks. But if he would have been lost for the season, it would have been like, oh, I mean, forget it. I mean, it would have been unwatchable. It's unwatchable now. And it's really hard. And matter of fact, I got to do a Jet show after this, which I can't believe, in about a half hour, 45 minutes. And we kind of wanted to wait until Zach Wilson's determination came out on his knee. But it's and the thing that I've come to figure out with this whole LaFleur thing is the reason they're not being creative is because they've got their offense and they've got their young players and the players who are going to play on offense and defense. They're just going to continue to run the system like practice. Practice makes perfect. We're going to continue to run our system no matter how bad because we should get better. Every week we're going to run the same plays, and this is how we're going to win games. And that's going to make it easy for the teams defending the Jets to know what's coming.
Correct. So many teams do that. It's unbelievable.
All right. So, and I'll have the Patriots show with Evan Lazar tomorrow, which will be a lot more jovial, that the Pats were on the winning end of that 52 to whatever score. But that was also a big win for the Patriots, who will be at the Chargers, by the way, this week. So the Patriots really have a season kind of, game coming up at the Chargers, and it will be interesting to see how the Chargers react. I always think it's interesting when you have a new head coach who I always look at their firsts. And Brandon Staley is now in the first bye week of his career. How does he handle that? Is that a good thing or is it a negative thing? So we'll see if the Patriots can take advantage of that or not. As far as the big games, I guess the biggest one had to be Cincinnati's win over Baltimore. We both believe, and everybody has to believe now, that the AFC is the toughest division, or one of the top 2 or 3 toughest divisions in football. And I think that's now a definitive deal when the Pittsburgh Steelers look like the 4th place team in the division. But the Bengals proved to everybody that we're here, and Joe Burrow is going to be a fantastic quarterback. And I feel good for Bengals fans. They've never won a Super Bowl, but you know what? They're going to win a Super Bowl at some point with Joe Burrow.
That's bold. Yeah, that's really bold.
It could be 5 years from now, but Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback.
I mean, sure, but 5 years from now, Mahomes will be in his prime. Lamar will still be in his prime. Josh Allen will still be in his prime. They're young. There are a lot of young quarterbacks. Let me
ask you a question then. Out of those quarterbacks, not Mahomes. Okay. Out of the quarterback, what's Allen? Jackson? Who would you rather have? Burrow? Out of those 3?
For the next 5 years?
Oh, on your franchise quarterback.
For how long?
Okay, we could say the next 5-7 years.
Okay. If I had to pick one first, I'd pick Allen first.
You would? Okay.
Yeah.
I still love Burrow. I think Burrow is going to be at the top of the game. I love the way Allen can transform a game with his legs, though.
Yeah, that's why I picked him. Yeah. Honestly, that's why I picked him. I would pick him first. I would probably pick Burrow second, but I would need to know what the rest of my team looked like. If I could build a team where Lamar Jackson's my quarterback, then I would do that. But I need 3 good running backs. I need a great blocking tight end. I need, how I'm building my team with Lamar Jackson is much different than how I'm building my team with Joe Burrow. But I would probably go Allen, Burrow, Jackson.
Yeah, because we have seen, Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. Great, Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
Great quarterbacks don't always win Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good young quarterbacks who are all going to be in their prime at the same time. So
the main thing is going to be, do the Bengals have? We know ownership, but people running the organization especially, the head coach. Are they going to be able to? And I believe the most important part is going to be the GM, personnel department, handling contracts, things of that nature. Because I think even if you take a look at some of the head coaches that have won Super Bowls, that have won a Super Bowl, you don't have to be some Hall of Fame head coach. There's a lot of head coaches that have won a Super Bowl that nobody's ever heard of before. So I don't think that is what would hold the Bengals back. But do they have the management? Because that's really what's held back this organization for a very long time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I'm old enough to remember in August when people were saying Jamar Chase was a bust, and now
yes,
he's on.
Look what happens when he plays with Joe Burrow, though.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like he plays without him in the preseason. He can't catch anything.
Yeah.
And as soon as Joe Burrow's back, so yeah, because remember that the talk was Pitts or Burrows. I mean, Pitts or Chase. Look, Pitts is coming on now, and he's going to be a really good player. But Chase is just that much more dynamic as a receiver. They obviously made the right choice.
Well, they didn't have the choice. Pitts was gone before them. The Falcons had to make that choice. The Falcons had to choose between Pitts and Chase at 4. And then 5, the Bengals had to choose between Chase and Penei Sewell. And I think they made the right choice.
Yes.
I think they made the right choice. But usually I would go offensive lineman over receiver.
But also, I mean, Pitts came out with a huge game in their win over the Dolphins. And remember the beginning of the season, I thought Atlanta had a shot to be a quiet playoff contender.
You did. And I thought they were terrible.
And they got off to such a bad start. And I was like, I guess I was wrong. They're just terrible. They can't stop anybody. Matt Ryan he looks like he's on his last legs. And look, the schedule's been kind.
Yeah. I'm not ready to give you this one. Their wins are the Jets, the Giants, and the Dolphins.
Schedule's been kind. But at least they're winning those games. So, and I don't think
sounds like the Broncos. We should learn from the Falcons right now. We should learn from what we thought about the Broncos in week 4 when they beat up the Jets, the Giants, and the Jaguars, and they were 3-0. And we're like, oh, the Broncos! And now they stink. We should learn now that the Falcons, even though they're 3-3 right now, I don't know what the next 5 games are, but it won't surprise me if they're 4-8 after those 5 games.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad loss when you don't even have Chubb, Hunt, and Baker Mayfield, and you can't beat the Cleveland Browns, who were reeling. Really, they weren't playing all that great. But remember last week we talked about the Browns should do exactly what wound up happening. Sit Baker Mayfield, let Case Keenum play for a game. That's what he's there for. And he actually did a pretty decent job in his one game. You just don't want him to play much more than this, or else it'll catch up to him. But that's why you bring in a guy like Case Keenum, who's a lot better right now than Joe Flacco.
And I've said on here a couple times that I can't think of a more overrated unit in the NFL than Washington's defense. I think I might have one. I think it's the Broncos defense. All I heard coming into this season was how great the Broncos defense was going to be. I think I picked them. Honestly, I think I picked them 4th in the AFC West in my season preview. Then I talked to you, and you had them in the playoffs. Then I talked to a bunch of other reporters who had them in the playoffs or on the knocking on the door, and I moved them up. I think I moved them up to 3, and I moved the Raiders to 4 is what I think I did. And I was right. Their defense is nothing to write home about. The way that D'Ernest Johnson ran the ball down their throat. I mean, if you remember the end of that game, it was like 3rd and 2. The Browns were trying to run out the clock. They got a false start penalty. It was 3rd and 7. And it was like, oh, is Stefanski going to throw it here and risk an incompletion? Are they going to just run it and settle for the field goal? And they ran it and got the first down anyway on 3rd and 7. Like a televised, everyone knows you're going to run, and you get it on 3rd and 7 to end the game. Get your defense out. I don't want to hear another thing about the Broncos defense.
Yeah, and the reason that a lot of people felt that they were ready to come into their own after playing pretty well last year was they were getting Von Miller back. Bradley Chubb was supposed to be there, and he hasn't been there. But they also expected, hey, we just drafted Patrick Surtain. So this is going to now. We got Miller back. We got Chubb. We got Surtain. We were pretty decent last year, but you can't blame everything on Bradley Chubb being out.
No.
So, because they didn't have Von Miller last year, and their defense looked better than it's looked this year.
Bradley Chubb's a good player. They're not missing T.J. Watt. So
no. So yeah, that's and I actually thought after halftime that they should have put in Drew Lock just to try anything on offense, because Bridgewater once again was not very good, and he's just been bad. It's amazing. That's been the biggest change from the first few weeks to the last 4 or 5 games. He's been awful. So, meanwhile, what about Tennessee? We both loved Tennessee last week, and Tennessee,
but only one of us has loved Tennessee since the beginning, Mr. Colts fan.
Hey, well, the Colts are back. So Tennessee with
let me ask you, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, there's a whitewash over those Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl loser. Hangover teams.
You love that. I'll still. My thought is I ain't gonna write off the Chiefs till they're out, but it's getting harder and harder to defend them. Right now, who's the best team in the AFC? Is it the? Let me read you. I'll read you my power rankings in tomorrow's post.
I already know.
Well, I don't know how you can know, because for me it was. I agonized.
You mean how could I know? Oh, what's your?
Well, I'm going to read you I don't know how you could know who it is, because I sat there. First
one of 2 teams. Two teams that played last week.
So to me, it was my 5 best teams in the NFL are all in the NFC. I think the 5 best.
Oh, in the NFL. I thought you said AFC. Okay.
No, I did. Yeah, I said my 5 best teams are all in the NFC. And then my 5 next teams are all in the AFC, which is very strange to have it that separated like that. No mix at all. Top 5 NFC, next 5 AFC. I have 6 Tennessee, 7 Cincinnati, 8 Buffalo, 9 Baltimore, 10 LA.
Wow, you have completely dropped off on Buffalo after 1 loss.
I have Buffalo at 8. 6 Tennessee, 7 Cincinnati, 8 Buffalo, 9 Baltimore,
who's the top
10.
5?
The top 5 are the NFC.
Yeah, who are they?
The Cardinals, the Rams, the Packers, the Bucks, and the Cowboys.
The Rams?
Yep.
Wow.
The Packers, the Bucks, and the Cowboys.
You actually have the Rams over the Bucks.
Yeah, but it's 2 and 4. I mean, those to me, it's 5 teams and then 5 other teams. It's halves and next level. If you're splitting it in tiers, I think there's 5 good NFC teams, and then there's 5 pretty good AFC teams.
Yeah, you're selling those top 2 AFC teams short right now. I can't put the Bengals into the top 2 yet. As much as I love them, I can't put them there yet.
Saying it's Tennessee and Buffalo for you.
And it's still for me Buffalo 1, Tennessee 2. But I think Tennessee now, because they've beaten Buffalo a couple of times, maybe they've got their number. So maybe matchup-wise, if they play in the AFC Championship game, maybe Tennessee can, but overall, I still like Buffalo.
I think it's splitting hairs between all of them. Tennessee lost to the Jets.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to get into that game.
Cincinnati destroyed Baltimore, who destroyed the Chargers. So right now I went with Tennessee, but I'm telling you, for me, it is paper thin. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's paper thin for me. Tennessee, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Baltimore, Chargers.
Yeah, I think the AFC. I could see Tampa Bay and Arizona over the AFC teams. That's it.
What?
Not the Rams.
The Packers over the Packers. The Packers are better than all those AFC teams.
Not the Packers. Yes. No, because the Packers defense, if you put the Packers, they can't stop Derrick Henry. They're not going to stop Josh Allen. Packers, remember, their top defender is still out. Until I see him on the field this season, I can't see the Packers winning the Super Bowl without that guy. I just can't see it. Maybe I hope they get him back. I'd like to see that. I don't want to see these top players out. But right now, if he doesn't play, I can't see the Packers beating the better offensive teams. I just don't.
I mean, they already beat the Bengals. Remember?
Sure,
So,
I know. But again, I'm talking about Tennessee and Buffalo. I don't think they can. I don't think they could stop either one of those offenses at all. They'd have to score in the 30s to beat them, which they could. But
okay.
It would be a fun Super Bowl. I'd like to see that.
Okay. Let's get back on track. Okay, I took us off track.
No, that's okay. Yep. And then, meanwhile, the Colts did save their season. We talked about that. They had to win a game like this. Now, one of the teams that loses was going to basically be on the outs. It looks like the Niners are on the outs. We talked about it last week. If Trey Lance is healthy, once Jimmy G doesn't win, does Trey Lance, now if he's healthy, shouldn't he start?
Probably, but you keep hearing, and I don't know anybody in San Francisco really, so this isn't my information, but I keep reading from other reporters that Trey Lance is far off. He's not really ready to take over yet. Well,
you mean fine. Health? Oh, you're not health-wise, but just he's not ready.
No, I just mean like ready.
Yeah, well, I don't think Zach Wilson or Josh Fields are ready yet either. So,
but those teams aren't good. Those teams are good. The Jets and the Bears aren't good.
But now at 2-4, I don't think San Francisco's at
2-4 isn't 0-6.
Look how tough the NFC is. You actually think San Francisco's now going to be? You could see them going like on a 8-2 run.
I think they're talented enough to do that. I mean, I think that's probably still going to end up getting you the 6 or the 7 seed in the NFC. But I think they're talented enough to do that. So. Yeah, I think if Trey Lance isn't ready, look. This is what we do, and it drives me crazy. And I'm one of the people who does it. Like in April, we all said Trey Lance needs a year to develop. Like Patrick Mahomes got a year to develop. He needs a year to develop. And now they're 2-4, and it's like put in Trey Lance, and it's like no, stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. So I would play Jimmy Garoppolo. Look, it's different. If they're 2-8. Then it's like, okay, the season's lost. You might as well just play the kid. But not while the rest of the team is out there putting their, health on the line. Are you throwing away the season for Trey Lance? No, again,
I felt that way until I saw him with his first start against Arizona. And like I said, if you watch the whole game, they should have won the game. And that's what Trey Lance, a quarterback, he was making plays with his legs. And he was also, was he perfect? No, but you could see, it was like, okay, I could see what they could have here. So if I didn't see that game, I'd be right with you. But I saw that game. So I'm like, I'd like to see a little bit more. And maybe he comes out in his next game and he's a complete flop. And okay, then maybe he should sit the bench again. But I just like what I saw in that game against Arizona and thought that maybe, I don't think it would be just throwing the season away. So, but again, big win for Indianapolis because their season now is back on the line against their rivals this week as they host the red hot Tennessee Titans. So the Indianapolis Colts are going to try to get back to 500. And look, this is the perfect opportunity for them to prove whether or not they're for real. Because if they can beat the hottest team in the NFL right now and go 4-4, then they've got a shot this season. If they don't, and Tennessee pretty much beats them up the way they did a few weeks ago, then okay, it's because it was good for them to get because I heard Quentin Nelson was going to be back. I don't know if he was actually activated or not. But I heard that he was supposed to return this Sunday. So whether he played or not, getting him back is important. Because I don't think they can win without him.
Trivia question for you, Greg. Do you know what school was the first to earn Jonathan Taylor's college commitment?
Rutgers?
Rutgers.
Yeah, it's New Jersey boy. He was one of those guys that said, no thanks. I'm leaving the home state.
He committed.
I know, I'm just saying, but he eventually was like, no thanks.
He eventually was like, wait, Corey Clement is from South Jersey, and he went to Wisconsin and had a great career. I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah. So. Well, I hope those days can be over sometime soon. But that's another show. Meanwhile, who's in first place in the AFC West? Not the Kansas City Chiefs, but those Las Vegas Raiders without John
It's
Gruden
hard to believe, honestly.
are now in first place. But Derek Carr is so I don't know what to make of him, because to me he's very frustrating, and yet you turn around and he's got these big numbers. It's like, how did he do that? It's like it's just, to me, there should be more like I see how many really good, like, he has some exciting, talented players. He's got a talented tight end. He's got Edwards. He's got Ruggs. But it just seems like, if you look at it, it's like he likes to evenly divide everybody. Like he's got like 5 guys with over 300 yards receiving. He doesn't have that one guy that he just goes, okay, here's my number. Like after that first game of the season with the Ravens, when Waller had like 20 targets, didn't you think Waller was going to have like an all-pro year? I don't think he's had more than 5 targets the rest of the season.
Well, he didn't play yesterday. So,
well, that helps.
That was even more impressive that they did that. Look, to me, I'm impressed with what the Raiders have been doing. I'm impressed with the way they've rallied around each other after the Gruden situation. I'm impressed that they have 2 running backs who seem to be getting along, Drake and Jacobs. They don't seem to be fighting with each other. 2 guys who have been the man before for their teams. So I like what they're doing. I like Hunter Renfrow. I like everything about the Raiders.
Hunter Renfrow too. I didn't even mention him.
To me, this game was all about the Eagles. And to me, it's what I've been saying since January. I don't think Jalen Hurts is an NFL starting quarterback.
No.
I think he could be an NFL backup quarterback.
That's obvious now. That ship is
most likely. I think Jalen Hurts, in whatever the new AAF is, whatever the new alternate football league, the XFL, the AAF, whatever the XYZ, whatever they want to call it 3 years from now, Jalen Hurts is going to be the headliner in that. Let's not
go there.
That's what he's going to be. He's going to be the headliner in the next alternate football league, because he plays a fun style, but it isn't going to get it done as a starter in the NFL. You can almost sense right now that the Eagles are trying to transition their team to Gardner Minshew for the rest of the season.
Why not give it a try?
You get that feeling that that's what's coming.
Hey.
So, to me, the Eagles play the same game every week. They're down big, and they have to rally in the fourth quarter to put up a bunch of garbage stats and try to make a game look close.
Yeah, I think they have some interesting options on offense that they just can't use, maybe because of their quarterback situation, but the defense has been terrible. That's really been the thing that's been letting them down. Other games to keep an eye on this week. Pittsburgh's at Cleveland, so we'll see if Baker Mayfield returns. And then also Sunday Night Football, Dallas at Minnesota. That's a good one, especially for the Vikings coming off a bye at 3-3. That's going to define maybe the rest of their season. So that'll be big for Minnesota. And then everybody is going to be glued to the TV sets when we record our show next Monday night, when the Giants travel to Kansas City to take on.
Well, we won't be doing.
Oh, that's right. Won't be excited. You won't be around.
No, we'll have to be doing it Tuesday night because I'll be in Kansas City. So.
All right. So that's going to wrap it up. Again, week 7, there was some interesting outcomes. The trade deadline's next week. Depending on what
you skipping over some of the blowouts. No interest.
You
in
don't
talking
Tampa
Bucs?
Bay. That was would they have like 3 or 4 drives of 50 yards or less because of all the turnovers? That was 21-0 before they blinked.
Yeah.
By the way, the Rams, that Detroit game was actually close. I mean, you got to love Detroit for 2 fake punts and an onside kick.
No, Detroit is what we said they are. They're going to lose most of their games, but they're going to play teams tough. And I thought teams undersold Jared Goff's pride. He went there. He played a tough game. He had a lot to prove. He played a tough game. They undersold his pride, but they're not underselling his skills, because sure enough, he threw a pick in the end zone with a chance to take the lead. But Lions showed me what I thought they were. Bucs looked like one of the best teams. Matt Nagy's on the fire watch any day. And the Cardinals did what they had to do. We talked last week. There were all these big spread games. Could the Bucs cover? Could the Cardinals cover? Could the Rams cover? Could the Packers cover? And pretty much they all covered except the Rams.
Yeah, Goff, when he threw that interception, it was like, well, this is why you can't be here much longer, because you could probably tell too that, all right, well, maybe they understood the significance of the game. Here's our quarterback, and he's going up against Stafford, and we're the big underdog, and hey, let's really try to do something here. And they tried, and then their quarterback lets them down. Enough of Jared Goff to try. Look, maybe he starts next year after they draft a quarterback, and he could just be there for the first 4 games or something. But that's another team right there. The Lions desperately need to draft a quarterback. So, and keep an eye now on Kenny Pickett, because Kenny Pickett, I'm starting to really like Kenny Pickett, the kid from Pitt, who was going to be like a 4th or 5th round draft pick if he would have decided to come out last year. He's having a phenomenal season. I love his moxie, the way he he's just a great leader. He's not, look, we know he's not going to be looked at. He's probably going to be looked at more of a Mac Jones type than some of these other guys, but still, for a league desperate for quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett will definitely be a 1st round draft pick if he keeps it up. So.
Yeah, I'm friends with his trainer, so maybe we'll get to talk to him at some point this offseason.
That would be awesome, especially this offseason, because he's going to have a lot of attention on him if he keeps this up. Big win over Clemson this past week. And the other blowout win that we did not talk about that we just brushed over was the other one that you just mentioned, which was Arizona's win over Houston. It was interesting because Kyler Murray in the beginning of the game, there was that. Was it a safety that they called against him? Okay. Yeah. And it looked for about 2 seconds that he was going to not come back. When they came back, they had the backup, McCoy, looked like he was coming out on the field. And it was like, oh no, Kyler Murray's going to miss the game. Does he have a concussion? Is there something wrong? But Kyler Murray then just walked on the field and everything was fine. So, but it shows you that even against the worst teams in the NFL, injuries can happen at the worst time. And thank goodness Kyler Murray's healthy, because that would be awful for the NFL if anything happened to Kyler Murray. Okay, so again, on Thursday night, it's the Packers and the Arizona Cardinals. By the way, do you know what the line is in that game?
No.
What do you think the line should be? I already made my guess, and I was wrong. I was dead wrong.
What was your guess?
What was my guess?
What was it? Yeah.
Arizona 3.
Pick 'em.
Dead wrong the other way.
Arizona 6.
Yeah. I was like, okay. See, this is what I'm a little bit afraid of with the Packers, which is what we talked about. Can the Packers, now that they're going to play Arizona, can their defense stop or maintain Arizona's offense enough where they can actually beat them? We'll find out. So could be one of the games of the year. And then again, we're not sure when we're going to be on next week, but chances are with the deadline on Tuesday, maybe we'll do a Tuesday night, Wednesday show. So we'll be able to talk about the trade deadline activities, and hopefully there'll be some trades to talk about.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Ryan, appreciate it as always. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to talk Jet football, so please feel for me, and I'll
wish you luck.
Yes, I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. See ya.